Hello and welcome everyone. Today I want to go over the best place to start for your next playthrough of Space Engineers. So I think every planet and moon has its place. I think it's just depends on what you're going to be doing in that playthrough or what your play style is. And so I'll go through each start and go over the pros and cons and kind of what I think it's perfect for. And I would also love to hear your feedback on all of these as well. So let's get right into it. We'll just start from the top of the list and work our way down. So starting with that, we have Mars. And it is mostly, we're in the mountains right here, but generally it is a very flat planet. And it is all one color, including the sky. And it is a generally boring planet, but that can sometimes be great. So we have easy to see ore, which is fantastic. There is ice caps as well, in case you need ice, and wind works here, which is great. So those are all very valuable things. Some of the cons is that there is no food sources here, so there's no forageable or spiders, and there's no oxygen on the planet either, so you'll have to handle that yourself. But it does lead to a perfect and very plain backdrop for cool, realistic style builds. So if you're going to build something cool and you're going to have some solar panels, then this might be the planet for you. So otherwise, it's kind of dull and boring. So if you're just going to take off the planet really quick, it's not a great backdrop for that. But if you're going to build anything that's somewhat interesting, might be perfect. So that's kind of how I see it. And then other things that I think the planet is pretty good for is it's just a large, generally easy to traverse planet. So it's great for economy runs. It's easy to find more stations. There's plenty of them. And it's also great for rovers. Let's talk about Triton. Triton is the moon of the alien planet that we have this beautiful view of here. It is kind of one of those secret spots for experienced players, I would say. It is super OP. If you are in a rush but still want to start on a moon or planet, then Triton is the go-to. And the reason why is ore is super easy to spot like this. It's all over. Ice is in these ice lakes, which are also really easy to spot, and they're all over the place. And we have wind power here, which is not bad at all, and even spiders for some food and really low gravity. So all those combined, and you're able to get started a lot faster on Triton than really anywhere else. So in space, if you got perfect RNG and found all the ores you needed very quickly, it would beat Triton. But if you didn't get good RNG, Triton would beat it pretty much every time. So this is a great planet for efficiency. So there is no oxygen here or forageables, and it is pretty small, but those are the only downsides really. I think it's perfect for any sort of meta play, any speed run, anytime you're rushing to get out there to Factorum. I also think it's perfect for new players as long as they can manage their oxygen a little. It is just so much easier because you can carry a lot more weight in your first mining vehicle, all that stuff. The only thing I would be careful of is that you don't float off the planet. It is so easy to leave the moon that you accidentally can in your atmospheric miner and might not get back again. So be very careful about that. But otherwise, yeah, this is a pretty OP start to the game. So next we have the moon, or Luna. It is the moon for the Earthlike planet, and it has low gravity and ice at the poles. So those are pretty nice things. And then some of the challenges are no wind, so you'll need to use solar panels or something else for power, and no atmosphere or oxygen, so no protection against the solar radiation if you have that enabled. It can also be difficult to spot ores, so Maybe over here. There's an ore spot here. It's kind of yellow, so it can be a little difficult to spot. But it is possible. It kind of depends on the lighting and your graphics at the time. And then it's also difficult for rover travels. So generally a lot of the moon looks like this. And so you can kind of get stuck in a valley or have other challenges getting your rover around. There are some flat spots, but it's unlikely that you're going to spawn on those. So that's challenging just to keep in mind. And then there's no animals or plants around to pick. So you'll need to rely on your algae farms once you get those going. But as far as what it's perfect for an ion ship based playthrough. So instead of having to start in an asteroid with ion, you could start on the planet, on the moon, and make an ion ship and go from there. It's also great for solar because it's the one place where you really need solar. So it's a good place to practice that or have that kind of playthrough. It's great for any sort of RP. So if you want to RP more modern, current space exploration, of course the moon's a really important part of that. And or it's great to set up your lunar base here, so it can be a lot of fun for those things. There's definitely a case for the moon. It's just can be a little bit challenging sometimes. Next up, we have the Earthlike planet. It has plenty of wind. It's got plenty of animals and plants, so food is pretty easy to handle on Earth. It's a varied planet, so there's just a lot of different details and different biomes and areas to check out. That's pretty cool. And then I think the other nice thing is that there's breathable oxygen, so you can always take your mask off and breathe in and be fine without having to worry about that. So that's why it's considered an easy planet. But otherwise, the cons are that sometimes you'll find spots that it's really easy to spot ore depending on the biome. So like this gray color here means that there's ore there, and that's really easy to spot. But come over here. This is without lowering my graphics settings. So if I was to lower my graphics settings, it would be much easier to spot this. But over here, these dark spots that kind of go away as I get closer means that this is another ore spot. So depending on how far away you are and your graphics settings, this might be ridiculously difficult to spot or pretty easy. So keep that in mind. That's one of the challenges with Earth. And then the other part is because it is such a varied planet, you're likely to spawn on a part of it that's difficult to navigate. I spawn on the poles pretty often and just need to respawn usually if I want to have a more entertaining playthrough. So definitely keep those in mind. Earth is perfect for the vanilla experience, right? So if you want to have the kind of default experience of starting in Space Engineers and then making your way to the moon and kind of working your way out from that, I think Earth is perfect for that. Any sort of Earth RP type stuff that you want to make on an Earth-like planet, well, this is the place for that. And then, you know, being able to chill outside without your visor on is pretty nice for building or just taking things a little bit slower. And then finally, screenshots are pretty amazing. A lot of my mods, I'll take my thumbnails here because the sky and the atmosphere just give really good lighting. So definitely pretty good for that as well. Next up, we have the alien planet, which is probably my favorite planet. It has plenty of wind, which is pretty awesome. It has lots of spiders for that early game food, which is great. It has just a very different look to it, different biomes, very varied. Vents can pull in oxygen here, so even though you can't breathe the air directly, you can pull in oxygen with vents, which is awesome. And there's also plenty of forageables, mostly mushrooms around, so definitely pretty great features there. And then the cons is it can be very difficult to spot ores. Whether depends on where they're at, but sometimes there's really no marker at all that I can distinguish. So that can be a bit of a challenge. And then again, you could spawn anywhere. You could spawn in some very difficult terrain, and otherwise it is a little rougher weather than most places. You're likely to hit weather near constantly, it feels like, and you might get like a radiation mist, or you might get some sort of debris that you have to deal with, and so that can be a real challenge. But I think that this planet is perfect for any challenge playthrough. So anytime that you're going to do minimal building and you want a nice backdrop to kind of handle that for you, I think the alien planet's great for that. I think that it's just really visually striking. And then also even just these open grass fields like this over here are what I use for my satisfactory scenario. And so like it's just a big open flat building area. There's plenty of space to drive around, so definitely can be a unique and good playthrough on the alien planet. Next up is Triton, or Hoth, as you may call it. It is a large flat planet with some mountains and snow and huge ice lakes. It has wind, it has breathable atmosphere, it has tons of ice lakes like this. The cons are that there's no ore markers, so I have not noticed any markers that have suggested where ore is on the planet. So I just have to use an ore detector, which isn't too bad since you can just kind of drive around a while. And then wind is here, but it is highly affected by the weather system. So if you have weather turned on, your wind is going to go out pretty often. Just keep that in mind and have some backup. Cold will drain your power much faster. So you'll either need to make some of the new power kits you can craft or consider a mod for that. But the power will go pretty quick. And then there's also no source of food here. So there's no forageables, and there isn't any animals that will attack. Although I think from a lore perspective, there should be some sort of wolves, but there isn't any so far. And then what this is perfect for is, like Mars, any large flat builds are perfect here. Just this having it as a backdrop is pretty great. It's just pretty awesome. And then I think Rover automation, so any sort of, well, not necessarily automation, but I definitely do that now with my blueprints. But rovers in general are great here because it's just large and flat, and so it's kind of easy to set up outposts and reach them. I also really enjoy hunting on this planet, so anytime I'm going to do some combat testing, I usually come out to Triton, and just it's so open, it's easy to kind of see your target, and it's, I don't know, it's my favorite for hunting. So definitely a big fan of this planet, had a lot of fun here, and looking forward to coming back in the future. So yeah, that's Triton for you. Next we have Europa. It is the moon above Mars in Space Engineers. It has some wind, not a lot, but some. It's got easy to spot ores, usually just dark patches, so not too hard to see. It has low gravity like the other moons, and it has ice everywhere. The cons, though, is that there's no stone. This is the only start that doesn't have any stone at all. The planet itself actually gives off radiation, and the atmosphere doesn't really protect against solar radiation. So between those two, you're going to get irradiated on this planet. Generally, when you start out, you're going to spend a lot of time in your cockpit waiting for the radiation to drop in between building anything. So definite challenge there. And wind here is super weak. So it does function, but you're only going to get like 100 something instead of the 400 something you get on Earth. So definitely a challenge. So this is perfect for challenge runs. So you can kind of take on a challenge here in multiple ways. You could turn off radiation and take it on as an older challenge where you just figure out how to survive without any stone, which takes a minute. Or the newer challenge, you keep on radiation and just deal with that and figure out how to kind of survive here and make like large hangars that are airlocked and kind of plan your adventures around the fact that you have radiation all the time. So definitely multiple ways to challenge yourself here. Also, this is perfect for a central refill station. So since it's in the center of the solar system, it's just a perfect place to fill up on hydrogen and restock and be on your way. So definite fun things there. And that is Europa. Next is the planet of Pertam. It has wind, it has easy to spot ores, a few spiders, some plants. It's very varied. It has just a very unique terrain to it. It's got pretty breathable atmosphere as long as you're not too high up in the mountains or experiencing some of the weather events. You should be able to breathe just fine here. Some of the cons are the spiders are going to spawn too slow to be a reliable source of food. Also, atmospheric thrusters, while they work here, the atmosphere is really thin, and so you may have trouble getting over mountains if you fly around with atmosphere very often. So be very careful. I have crashed into mountains multiple times in playthroughs here. And the overcast can get a little annoying. Notice how the sun's right there and we're still seeing the reflection of the lights here. It can darken your playthrough a bit, which is why I usually play with a mod that lightens the sky for Pertam. So something to keep in mind. And then, but what it's perfect for is because atmospheric works but isn't optimal, it's a great place for rover playthroughs. Also, ice is really restricted. It's difficult to find. So hydrogen isn't super great either. So it just really pushes you towards rover playthrough, which is excellent. It's great for kind of the whole desert vibe is very good for that wasteland sort of playthrough. Mad Max, Scrap, any sort of similar RP is great. So I really like it for that. And then ores are really spread out. So there's certain areas in the mountains that will have silver and gold. There's valleys that'll have more cobalt and some ice. There's magnesium flats as well. And so having ores in different places makes it great for setting up logistics of some sort. So definitely a fun planet, and I highly recommend it. And last but not least is the space pod. So you start in space with a large grid ship, which is the only way you can start with large grid. You're in front of an asteroid of some sort, and it is a lot easier than most playthroughs. So stone is really easy to get. Solar, very abundant because you can just rotate towards it or move into a better spot if needed. And you have a chance at uranium that is only available in asteroids and vanilla space engineers. And then the cons is there's no wind power, there's no atmosphere, and there's no food sources until you make it. Ores are completely RNG, so you might get lucky and find everything you need immediately, and you might find it in a couple of days. So keep that in mind. But generally it's super easy to start because you just fit a drill on the front by shaving down one of these thrusters a bit, and then bump into an asteroid and fill up on stone, and you're off to the races. So that's the space start. It's perfect for a space playthrough, encounter and factorum hunting because you're already in space, ready for those guys. Setting up space stations. PvP, generally you're going to start in a space start because you want to be able to avoid people until you are ready to fight. And then RP, if you have not rewatched The Expanse while doing a space playthrough, you're losing out. You're missing out. It is so good because you constantly have that kind of space physics in mind while you're playing, and then see it in the show. It's very nice. So yeah, that is that. If you have any questions or comments, if you have any corrections or kind of your opinions on any of these space starts of like what it's really perfect for, let me know down below. If you like videos like this or other educational space engineers content, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one, everybody.